Next painting project. I just a couple hours ago finished the last one, and Kira, the granddaughter, has some goofy stuff on TV, and I was getting brain damage, so thought I'd come up here and start working on this one. So this is a place we ate. The family went down for a Christmas little getaway for 4 or 5 days to South Padre Island, which is about as far south in Texas as you can go. And we had some great dinners, great time. This was, I think, the last evening before we left. Great food, and it was just a neat atmosphere. So I'm going to paint that. Amber really wanted me to paint this to fit in our bathroom. It's going to be on a 16 by 20. I'm going to remove the boat, so have to kind of think through some of the stuff that would be behind there and some of the reflections. I'm going to leave those pilings here, and I've got it sketched out. I'll have to remove this arm and move it back some, obviously, but you see I'm going to rough sketch, and I'm going to take this pelican not that pelican, pelican that I took a picture of before we went into the restaurant. So I'm going to put him in there and kind of have him broach up into this sky to break this plane, which should work out pretty good. I'm not at all going to say, oh, this one shouldn't be too tough, because I've said that the last couple, and they've been harder than I thought. So I'm going to get the old gooseneck set at the right distance, and we'll get going. So we'll see how this angle goes. Bigger painting, I've had to move that. I'm sure I'm going to get in the way and it's going to go out of focus. I apologize, but it's probably the best way I can have you look here. You can also see what I'm looking at. Normal palette. These are just left over from last painting. I probably, may never use them again for that last painting, though. I don't know why. I used a couple colors I normally don't use. So you saw me spray. I usually don't do that, but I want to cover this area, and I'm going to keep dipping into the water at the beginning anyway, but this is going to be layers. I'm never going to hit anything when I paint the first shot. So I'm going to use this bigger brush, trying to make a judgment on the how much water to put in this. Now you see, this is just nature. We talked about last time. Over your head, it's going to be more saturated. As you come down, it's going to get lighter, and the technical term would be less saturated, I guess, but grayer. Right? It's going to get grayer. So let's try to make a estimation about how light this is going to be. Blue's transparent. We've talked about that aquamarine. Ultramarine. And it's just going to have to be done for me the way I do it. I guess I could technically put it on thick enough where it would be okay, but I just normally struggle. Now, I don't know if you saw that. You probably can't see up here. That was some dried paint that I hadn't cleaned off well enough, so I just used the corner of my brush or side of my brush and got that off there. Again, some folks choose to do, real light. That's charcoal from the drawing, which is going to happen. I'm going to put some more ultramarine out there. That's going to happen when you sketch, it's going to, but when you paint thin, a lot of water, not much paint, which is kind of what that is. So I don't want to, I have a habit of going in the water. I don't want to do that right now until I have to. So I want to put thicker, you can probably tell, that's thicker paint. I need the water though. I need some water so it doesn't skip. It just takes practice, it really does, to figure out, looking here, figure out how much paint, how much water to put in that. And again, I'm working wet into wet at the moment. You gotta work pretty quick. Now what I don't want is to work too much into that. I'd rather, even if it's wrong, I'd rather let it dry and paint over it than work much into that. Now this painting, I'm gonna, try to paint it pretty well, but this is a little bit different. It's again, this is to go in. This is not a finished piece of art for me. This is I don't know what you call it, Art Deco. I don't know. It's to hang in the bathroom, so it's not like, oh, I'm going to show people how proud. Look at my awesome art that But I didn't want to paint it, pretty good. I just don't think that I'll be, unlike, trying to make something look like Matthew or Peyton or something. That's not important here, right? It's important that, if the kids see it, they remember, what the place was. Or you probably notice I'm working over that, but I'm working light to dark and try to meet in the middle. Now there's some dark spots in that charcoal, which sucks. Just try to blend it a little bit. Try to get some of the lines out of it. Again, it's not critical, not absolute critical. See, now see where there was a little mark there and I took light paint and did that, which should have done that. Way to go, John. Now I'm going to pick up just pure white. Dirty brush, because it's lighter, right? You see it's lighter. Now I can wait, and I can wait until that's dry, and I may have to do that. But while it's wet, I'm going to try to blend into that, and it's not critical that I save every bit of that drawing. I'd rather paint, I'd rather lose the, what do you call them things, pelicans? I'd rather lose the pelican and have to redraw it than for it to look painted up to. This will probably real light. That's just so light. At a quick glance, and it's okay. There's some darker spots, lighter spots. I'm not going to mess with it yet. I can barely see above that boat. Barely see him, and this is not far off of that. Makes sense. But I don't want to paint this the same color. I'll probably, if I squint down, I mean, it's a reflection of that. But I really want to make it darker or lighter than that. So let's make it a little darker. Make it a little darker. If I don't like it, you know what we'll do? Make it a little lighter. You betcha. That's a little too light. Or too dark. And they're actually, whether I choose, I guess I will choose to do it. I was about to say whether I choose to do it or not, I need to do it because it's there. It's really there. This is the Texas shoreline. Forget the little town. Pretty close. All right, pretty close. This one's lighter, or darker rather, so I better at least get these sides to match up somewhat. I still see the drawing, doesn't matter, I'm gonna lose it, which is okay. Nasty spot out of my palette. Painting up to stuff stinks, it really does, but what do you do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So yeah, this will definitely be painted over, right? This is, look at this as if it's an undercoat, and we'll put some, this is too dark, too blue. As it comes forward though, it's going to get richer, you know, closer to what I'm actually putting up there right now. And I'm just, you know, again, I'm painting, I'm losing, I want to make these smaller. And I think you all get it, I think. Why you do that? You know, those are just, I'm going to redraw those with a paintbrush, right? I just need to know about where they're located. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Again, don't stress. I know you're not stressed. I'm not stressed. Don't stress over trying to get these colors perfect, or get any of it perfect, really, right? If we do nothing more than cover the canvas, even if it doesn't match up right, read right, I keep saying. Even if it doesn't, we're accomplishing getting rid of all the white, which is a big step. Now let's go over here. Not that way. So there's no water in between. And I don't want to do that, even though I just did that. I don't want to really do that. I mean, it's okay, but as I paint, I've got this is going to get dark, right? This is really dark in here. And even this, right, we're not going to make this dark because it's dark because of that boat. So this would be, you know, still the sky coming down, and I'll make it, you know, and I don't understand, you guys might. There's some phenomenon, and I'm not going to worry about the shadows, or the reflections rather. We'll paint those later. But, you know, you've probably noticed, or I've noticed, that reflections in the water are normally darker. And most people, you know, I think, paint them lighter. You know, if you've got trees, you know, that are reflecting, foliage reflecting in the water, most people put that reflection in lighter. And, you know, here's this, you know, obviously here's this tree that I'm looking at, it's sitting on the bank. You would think it's got to be richer and saturated and bolder, but, you know, it's really not, and I don't understand. I mean, you can look here. That's darker than that, right? It's dark value. I try not to think about it too much. Not too much. I try. Again, remember that boat ain't there. I try to just paint what I'm looking at. Isn't this fun? Are y'all having fun? Is anybody out there? Anybody? So we're gonna bring it over to here, right? And then, you know, there's gonna be reflections back in here. Might as well just go ahead and do this for now. Makes it safe. Again, would it have been easier to paint the whole thing, paint all the sky? Yeah, it would have been. And then draw that in later, but what are you going to do? So underneath here, dirty brush. Probably can't be a dirty brush because it's so dark. So dark. It's that big brush, you know, when you get that water in it, whew, look at that. You got to get that water out. Got to be able to control the amount of water. So I might as well mix that yellow, not perfectly, because it's not perfect. It's dirty. There's railing. You know, there's we'll call them siding, if you will. So it's definitely not perfect yellow. It's a washed out yellow. So we don't want to do that. That's a little too saturated. So how do we make a saturated yellow less saturated? You take its opposite, right? Which the opposite of yellow is purple. It's the other two primaries mixed together, right? So I want to take it, even though I got purple here, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to take a little bit of blue, a little bit red, a little too much maybe. So we're going to grab the yellow again. We're going to grab a little more white. And it's not critical that I get this perfect. It really is not, because this building is not perfect. It ain't. I promise it ain't. But we're going to put it up here like this. Structurally, and that's why I've got this this brush. This brush. Beautiful. This is getting a little water in it, which is alright. That's okay. It's because it's a little lighter than what I'm putting up there, which is, again, you know what we're going to do. We're going to go over this and over this and over this, because at the end of this, I like to have paint on the canvas. And this is kind of a wash. Now there's a sign there that I'm really not worried about losing and having to redraw it, even though I still see it because it's so thin. There's letters there, which we're going to just go over. Problem is I'm picking up that I called it charcoal before. It's actually graphite. It's a regular pencil. I'm continuing actually as I go back down here, and I want to mix. I'm using paint, so I'm mixing paint. I'm mixing more white in it. I'm not really grabbing yellow, so I want it to get lighter, and I'm okay if it gets lighter as it comes down. Again, I'm going to go over all this again anyway. The windows are not critical, not to me. I think it's important that I get the right, number of windows or whatever. But again, my kids are not going to look at the picture and go, "Oh, you got the windows wrong." I mean, if again, I'm not trying to make shortcuts or whatever. It's just I'm not going to stress over those kinds of details. Not now anyway. I'm more concerned with getting the canvas covered. More paint, more paint, more paint. Again, the way I paint, which is weird. I'm assuming it's weird. I let myself make mistakes, and then I try to fix them. So behind this railing, you see it's yellow. So what's easier? I don't guess it probably matters. Is it easier for me to go yellow and then paint the railing over it? Or is it easier for me to paint this brown and you put those little slats in there? Doesn't really matter, does it? Probably about the same thing either way. About the same either way. that didn't even make sense there. I don't know. Yep, a little too yellow, but that's okay. We'll come over that and we'll drag some whites over it. It'll be beautiful. It'll be beautiful. Let's make an estimation just for my own psyche. Now it's probably as important that I get, ooh, that was fortunate, wasn't it? Wasn't that fortunate? You're a lucky dog. How about that? How about that? Go Big John, go Big John. I have to entertain myself. I'm so sorry. It's embarrassing for the kids. They're used to it. All right. So that's kind of in. Let that dry. I don't want to paint over it. I'm tempted to go in here and do stuff. Make it start looking pretty real quick like. One thing that I will do, I sure will, is, again, I'm going to paint over. I'm going to just keep doing that. So I don't mind putting these at just the value in there, and then I'm going to paint over it again, lose it. So what brush do you use? I could use one of these. Look at, you're talking about some scumbling. I'm talking about John wearing out a flat. Woo-wee. Now we may do that later. Now that would be good to drag over that front, make it look kind of torn up. It sure would. Let's just take, is that big enough? I have 1,000 brushes. 1,000 brushes. What do we got over here? Ooh, I like this one. What's what we got here? Krumbacher number 8. That looks fancy. Let's take that bad boy and mix our old reliable or mine. You got to find what works for you. But the burnt sienna and ultramarine is the two that I go with. That's the girl I brought to the party. Let's see, this is nice and dark. Again, the reason I use these two, and a lot of artists use different, even artists that have a limited palette like I paint with, they will have different ones that they use. I use these two. They're good that they just really, I can grab even amounts of both of them and it almost turns just gray, which allows me to make judgments. Is it cooler, is it warmer? I add a little bit more of one or the other. I don't really have to think too much. It's just so easy for me to put that up. Now I'm not worried about temperature right now. If I can get it, I will, but I'm just more worried about covering canvas. So that comes all the way up there, doesn't it? A little bit, you see that ultramarine I put, you probably see that, I'm sorry, the burnt sienna, I didn't mix it well, but hey, that's okay. Okay with that. Again, we're just locating these, right? We're not worried about making them look perfect. But this is, if I wanted, I could just do something like this for now and just look. Again, lighter, maybe even a little yellow in that. What do you think about that? Maybe a rope coming down there. There's a little hit of light I guess we should put those two in, right? There's actually 3. How did that happen? How did that happen? I guess we should make it 3. Maybe I had 3 drawn in there. I don't know. I wanted to support my arm, but I don't guess I need, because this is all going to be shadow, right? There's one right there. Transparent, pretty transparent, which is okay. That comes down like that. This one has a little bit of a lean to it, which I kind of like. I'm kind of digging that. Dark on the top. Weird. Dark on the top. Dark on the top. Dark on the top. Interesting. So this one is going to come in front. It's as you see, it's almost white. It's just a different color, which is cool. It's cool. It's really cool. Look, I'm beautiful. Just kidding. Let me. How long is this video? 24 minutes. I'm rocking over here. Rocking. All right, let's get crazy. Let's get crazy. I'm trying to take pretty good. You know, again, it's going to be more transparent than I want it to be. But if we look underneath here, of course, that's cool because the white, because this goes back that way, there's light reflections and stuff coming out all the way over to actually about here. Right? And this is going to be dark. I mean, we're going to go over that several times. It's about as dark as I put dark in a painting. Look at that. Woo-wee. You betcha. And that's, for me, that's just lots of layers. You see how transparent this stuff gets. Now, could I pick up black? Yes. I don't ever want to put black down. Even if let's pick up some black. If I put black, I'm going to mix it with that, right? Still doesn't matter, right? I want it to have some temperature. You know, if I'm going to call it something, I would make it cool. Why is that? That's interesting. I'm trying to make sense of this stuff. There's something right there. Right? It's obviously on the other side. Remember, we're going to bring this down. There'll be some shadows and stuff, but this will be, take a look. I guess I should have brought this on over, which we will. We will. We'll bring in some little some of the blue on top of this too. We won't worry about that too much. Yeah. So we're going to, this is going to be to there, maybe, I don't know why. It's just that kind of weird, kind of strange. But who am I? Who am I to question? So as it gets down in here, it's a reflection, but it is darker. Right? So what I'm going to do, which I think will match up okay, that is yellow, some white, and burnt sienna, which obviously should read like it's a reflection. You know, we're going to come, and again, I'm inventing some of this stuff, so we're, that actually see. You can actually see the top of that door. Interesting. So the only thing that's reflecting. So even Pier 19 isn't in there. Pier 19's in this. There's a red thing right there, which is that red thing. So yeah, the top of the door right here is basically what's reflected. Okay, I'm good with that. Good with that. This is, I'm sure you probably can't see, but I'm sitting here with my hand in my pocket. I got my hand in my pocket, just enjoying myself. I'm not watching whatever the heck she was watching. Good gosh. Brain damage. Like, it wasn't Teletubbies, but it just as well, yeah. Ugh. Killing me. I guess we'll just bring this all the way down. Just try to cover, I'm just picking, I'm just doing this. Picking that paint up. Look, I mean, it's sloppy, it's so sloppy, but we're gonna, you know we're gonna make this work. You know it. I'm so sorry. I know I'm in your face. I'm in your business. Up in your business. I'm about out of paint. Out of this color, I'm trying to stretch it. I don't really want to mix it again. Not for this. Now this is it's kind of bad. I'm making this painting sound like it's going to suck, and I don't care about it, and I don't mean to do that. But in all reality, this is kind of one of those, you know, just a few dollar canvases, nothing fancy. And it's, you know, the other ones that you've seen, even the other, what was it, the other 16 by 20 that I did of the kids in the creek was a nice canvas. It was a 2-inch, you know, double framed in the back. You know, and it means more to me than this one. And you know, this was a part of my story. I keep saying that, but you know, some of this is, of course, the whole family story. But you know, again, I take all these pictures, so this is kind of how I see or how I saw this trip. And I have just so many pictures I take, and I just kind of try to pick the ones that mean a lot to me. And I'm not saying this one did, but it meant a lot to Amber, I guess. She asked me to paint it. Which is cool. And it, you know, I guess it'll look okay in our bathroom. Yes, dear. I'm just going to do what I'm told. You know how I do. I gotta be careful. You know why? This is not dry. So I'm getting a little carried away up in here. But you see, it doesn't take long. This is going to go in and out, in and out. We're going to break that line there. A lot of wave action going on. We'll get cool with all that. There is I don't want to really I'm going to wait, and I need to paint over that too, right? Let's try to match it. Let's test ourselves. I'd say that's probably pretty poor. Yep. Pretty poor. perfect, but go ahead. And the reason I want to put this in now, even though I'm going to paint over all this, is when I paint over that, it's going to be affected by the blue paint under it, right? Because it's transparent stuff. And if I take a color of paint and let's say I put it over white, let's say I took this right here and I went, what's going to look different here than there? Just because I'm not putting it on very thick. Now I could choose to put it on thicker, and it wouldn't be as big a deal. Let's see. I want to get the canvas covered, and then we're going to break. And I think we got time. Yeah. And then we'll, like I say, we're going to paint over all this, I'm sure, but I need this for my own brain, I guess. And this is very watered down. It's too watered down, actually. It's too watered down. Look how watered that is. This is like crazy. Crazy. Now this one is really white. I say white, it's not white, but it's light. It's definitely cooler, which is neat. This is really what I need. It's a cooler color. I don't know why, but a little more interested. Not worried about the pelican at the moment. There's a trim that goes around it again. I just want to get the canvas covered. So we're going to take, should I take that big brush? Yeah, let's do it. Let's get crazy. Let's get crazy. We're going to put in, let's do this. I'm going to paint in, and I just want you to look, it's an off-white, dirty white, if you will, right? Inside, knowing that there's going to be a frame around it, right? They're not all the same exact ones, and even if they were, I'd probably modify them for artistic sake. The one in the middle's lighter. Doesn't matter, nobody cares. Anybody eating dinner there that night would have never noticed that, but for artistic sake, I will end up making variations in these. Right now, I just want to get the canvas covered. Put it up there, throw the clay up there, and then sculpt a nose out of it, right? Now you all see why artists cut their ears off and stuff. We've lost our mind. Inside that door, there's some stuff going on. Look at that. See how that sun comes down through there? That's pretty cool. It's interesting. It's interesting. You all aren't watching. I know you're not watching. Oh, I wish I could put that brush that way. What a cane, what a golly. You see why I wanted to. I guess I could do that. Yes, I could. See why these flat brushes. If you are an artist that's going to paint any architecture, structure, and I don't paint much. I don't paint much. Now, is that, you would think that would be the same size as that, wouldn't you? Why did I make that bigger? It's running off the page. That's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting. So we're going to go. It ain't going to be perfect. Look, oh my goodness, it's the same as those, isn't it? It's the same as those. So we're going to go right there. Yeah, baby. And we're going to use that frame to square them up, and then I'm going to take that yellow, fix my little screw up there. Yeah, this looks nice. So, same brush. It's kind of, there's light coming right. I'm sorry about my elbow. I'm sure it's in the way. Boy, that's convenient. Getting this the same size as that brush is sweet butter. Sweet butter. And there's a dark shadow here. And then there's some other stuff going on back in there that I'm not going to mess with at the moment. Yeah. So I'm not worried about painting over that at the moment, but you see what's going to happen here. We're going to go over that. It's not dried yet. We're going to go over that and get that dark. What are you talking about? What you talking about? What was his name? What was his name? What was that show? I can't remember. Gary Coleman. I'm old. I can't remember. Let's see here. I shouldn't care about the Pelican right now because I gotta paint this again. So I'm not probably gonna do it. We're gonna stop right there. It's a pretty decent stopping point. For the most part, got it covered. We will be putting in. Let me show you. And you know this. I don't have to show you, but I'm going to water out of the brush. We're going to be doing this kind of stuff, right? We're going to be doing this kind of stuff. This kind of stuff. I'm just going to go around it. Just start making sense. It'll be amazing. It'll be amazing. Pier19 is about in the right spot. Getting those letters, a little bit of a challenge. We'll make this brighter because the sun's shining right on it. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. All right, until next time.